Pop. Just being in the way, like you usually are. I can take this off now. Ah. Ay. Alright. I'll do one thing real quick. First. Do this. Cool. Oh. Doggo. What you doing over there, bud? Fuck. Man, my phone is all fucked up. Gots to love it. Back. Come on, you fucking mutt. Doggo. Come here. Whatever. As long as you just get out of the way, pup. Alright. There we go. What my friends talk about here? What's happening here? Portland Parks and Recreation is reevaluating where e-bikes stand with bike trails, and my fear is that they might try to ban them from the bike trails. Why? Found an article, and it looks like it would impact only state facilities. I think most likely Class 1 and Class 2 e-bikes will be allowed, but Class 3 won't. Pretty sure mine's Class 3. It'll go faster than 25. Then yeah, it'll be Class 3. How will they enforce that? Either not all over speed checks. I assume they would set the speed limit for state facilities at 20 miles an hour. The rules aren't final, though. There's always a chance they'll do something different. So, like, I guess Oregon State is like, debating on whether to restrict e-bikes on, like, speeds and stuff, potentially. I'll ask them about that. Goofy dog. He just loves that laundry room. I don't get it. Let's see what my friends keep like literally going back and forth about this whole e-bike thing. That'd be such bullshit. Sometimes I'm running late and I need that extra boost if I need to slow down. I'm at more reaction time than someone in the car going 40 or more miles an hour. So I guess the whole idea is that Oregon's trying to at least conform to national standards while they're doing its own thing. Gain momentum around 2015 following its adoption in California under Assembly Bill number 1096. Bill specified that permissible areas for each e-bike class, allowing 1 and 2 e-bikes and intersections designated for traditional bicycles, while restricting Class 3 e-bikes for 2 roads or bike paths near roads. Also, my friend Rip Seals also mentioned it's the standard that most advocacy groups are going for. The goal is properly regulated so that it's clear on when a driver's license and registration is required and when it isn't. Interesting. Peculiar, but nonetheless interesting. Oh my god, everyone's fucking going off in that group chat right about now. Uh-oh. Oh boy. Oh boy. Right, pull some more tunes. Here, I'll pull that. Come on, where is the... Oh, it's playing. I'm hearing it now. There we go. Alright, now try to load this bowl up with my gashed out fucking thumb. That's great. Man, I don't think I'm going to be able to... not really. Yeah, that ain't going to work. Oh, hold on. Okay, I guess it does. Oof. Oh boy. I think my friend Melty's going on a libertarian arc. Oh no, I'm not going to type it out. Oh boy. I'm just going to let him have his take. But he said registration for an e-bike, fuck that. The only regulation should be their manufacturing. Besides, there's almost no one in Springbar Corridor, and people should be able to ride as fast as they want as long as they're not in danger of few pedestrians there are. That's kind of why there needs to at least be some basic rules to ensure that safety, even if it happens to be in the middle of the night. And now I gotta type my shit. God damn it, now I'm typing it in. Fuck. Oh, come on. Come on. There we go. Oh my goodness. Fucking Metal T. Of course, he always has to throw in the hot takes. Oh, come on. There we go. There we go. Damn. Of course, Rip is like, nah, I'm actually walk back to work now. Of course. Oh my goodness gracious. My goodness. I wonder what else he has to say about, like, the whole idea of registration of e-bikes and stuff. I know Ripsey was saying class 1 through E or 1 through 3 e-bikes shouldn't be licensed or registered, which I agree with that. I mean, with this whole like, we need to register some e-bike. It's like, I mean, like if it's going over a certain like mile per hour limit or something, sure. But as far as I'm concerned, like just set speed limits. Like treat pedestrian roadways at least as a minimal, kind of like a regular roadway when it comes to bikes like that. And it's like you can't really enforce it, but at least when it comes to e-bikes, there is a level of at least semi-enforcement. At least people can look at the speedometers and be like, "Oh, I'm like 10 miles above. All right, we'll slow down a little, or not." Okay, there we go. All right, I'm done typing off random bullshit in that group chat. This I think melty. I think even when I felt maybe there will be like a little back and forth debate, it never really ended up looking like that. This melty is just like, oh, stream is unaffected. Even people on class 3 bikes deserve to be separated from car traffic, which I agree with. Forcing anyone riding class 3 or higher to share the road cars will cause traffic accidents, which I do agree with. I mean, honestly, I'd rather just like expand pedestrian ways of different types. Like, some just for people, some for like mixed use, and some maybe like, where e bikes are pretty active and predominant. Like around here, they are. So, I think all in all, that type of stuff I think would be way more, better, for a lot of these different communities and neighborhoods and shit, and a lot of different downtown areas too. Way more so than just like shoving class 3 e-bikes and above, into potential like regular roadways where, you got, fucking actual cars driving around. And most people are not exactly smart when it comes to driving around on the road. I feel like, honestly, especially from my experience, pedestrians tend to be way better about being mindful about where they're going and shit like that. So I tend to feel like way safer and less likely to get injured. Like the worst thing that has ever happened when like when it comes to a quote accident on a pedestrian way is that like someone wasn't completely paying attention while riding a bike because they looked back for a second, talked to one of their friends, and I was riding my bike, and they kind of skidded off a little bit. Their friend went, "Yo, bro," kind of like, "Yo, dude," and he looked back and went, "Oh shit!" Kind of stopped himself, but couldn't really like get out of the way in time. And I slowed down. And I kind of like bumped into him, and I almost kind of fell off my bike, at a stop, and we kind of like, just kind of like tapped each other. He was like, "Oh my god, I'm sorry, bro." And I'm like, "Hey, it's all good." Because I've actually have done that too a few times myself. So, so I'm just like, "Hey, it's all good, bro." I've actually have done that a few times. It happens. You look back for 1 second and you end up falling in a ditch or accidentally hitting somebody or almost hitting somebody or smack it up against a pole. That does happen. I mean, it does happen. I mean, honestly, and it's kind of just like a bro moment on like for me at least. It's just like oop. Oop. But I mean, honestly, at least in that case, the worst thing that's going to happen is you might get a scrape or a bruise. You know, at least, you know, for like these e-bikes and stuff, I mean, there's a chance for actual potential injury, but that's why I think there should probably, at minimal, be like, hey, I acknowledge I can ride this thing. I went around the block, was just fine. I know how to ride it. I know how to use it and stuff. Acknowledge it. It's under my name. Whatever, you know, like, I'll probably be okay with something like that. But honestly, I mean, if like, I think it'd just be better to just like expand pedestrian ways and these different like, you know, trails and paths, you know, that pedestrians have access to, that they can use, that, you know, isn't, you know, like having to use the fucking road or some shit, you know, where you're having to like, you know, walk around and ride your bike where you're right next to cars and shit. Because that shit's way more dangerous. But yeah, I'll play another little tune and then, yeah, let's see what other little things are going on. Oh, actually, I do know some wild shit that was going on that I heard about. Like, Kenya's been having some uprising shit, which actually I looked up a little bit about that. And apparently, at least, like, the president of Kenya or whatever, like, backtracked a lot of what he was trying to push because of the protesters. So it sounded like the protesters actually kind of got some major wins there, which I kind of figured, all things considered, that probably was going to be the case. So I have a fucking bug biter to sit here. Oh, fuck. This is a mosquito bite or something, dude. Oh, that is a mosquito bite. Fuck. That's a skeeter bite right there. It's not itchy, but. Oh, now that I noticed it, it's going to get itchy. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. Got a skeeter bite. Damn. Oh, now that I fucked with it, now it's starting to get irritated. Oh, shit. Should not have noticed it. Fuck. But yeah, but at least, you know, when it came to Kenya, like, I mean, it sounds like, you know, things are, you know, like, it seems like, you know, a lot of the protesters there actually got some pretty big successes, so that's fucking dope. But then Bolivia had apparently a fucking coup, which I'm just like, another one? Because I heard about that shit happening, you know, fucking, like, I don't even know, what was it, like 3, 4 years ago, maybe? Like, something like that? It wasn't that long ago where that shit happened, you know, and it's like with that weird crazy Bible lady or whatever the fuck, you know, saying that, you know, we like need to instill like Christian nationalism or something in Bolivia or whatever the fuck. You know, Elon Musk was pretty gun ho about supporting the coup there. But this one, it was just like, I don't even know what it was about. I just kind of like heard some deets like, yeah, you know, a failed coup attempt, because I apparently it like came, saw, and left like all within the span of like me finding out about it. I'm just like, huh? It's like, what? Like all within a span of a day, like this shit happened. Like, all right then. It's like, okay. Here, let me try to find a little video about it or something. Because I know there has to be a few things. Actually, I know I saw Voosh react to it. So I guess for a lack of better use, we'll have some Voosh. Sleepy little turd. The doggo is just too much of a sleepy bean. A couple of things here real quick before I look at that. There we go. Cool. Why do you always hang out in that laundry room, bro? Will you ever leave that fucking little space? I don't think it ever will. It's just a silly little stream thing, dude. Just a silly stream thing. What is up with that little punk? Oh. I was just pondering why he's in there still. Man, he is a fruit.
Looks like dirt.
I guess. I mean, because I don't get it.
Go bum some smokes up Cheryl.
What, Neil? I want. Want a couple?
Yeah, she'll probably give me like a couple.
Here, I can paint them all anyway.
Stingy. Some up smokes. Yeah.
It is hard to fucking smoke this thing. My fucking thumb. Boom. Man, what the fuck?
Complains enough when I do stuff for her, but when I need her to do something for me, I bet you she's going to complain that I haven't.
What's going on in Bolivia? What?
A coup attempt to maybe get lithium.
A coup attempt in Bolivia might be happening right now. Allegedly, the armed forces under the leadership of General Zuniga are mobilizing to oust President Luis Arce. What's going on? Why? Hello? Well, those are the military police.
We have boxes of explosives that we will put into the parliament.
All right. Okay. All right. Bolivian armed forces have surrounded the government palace in Bolivia's Plaza Murillo in an apparent coup attempt. Okay. All right. Okay. I don't know about this one, guys.
Yeah, there's like like some armor personnel carriers and shit with like some big boom booms and stuff on it. Is that the Bolivian roundel? Green, yellow, and red. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of cool little color scheme. I feel like green, yellow, and red would be a little better, but yeah.
All right, okay.
A little red dot.
I don't know about this one, guys. How recent is this? Bolivia's president slams a regular mobilization of army units 18 minutes ago, as the Andean nation's former leader accused a top general. Former leader? Wait, who are they ousting? Evo Morales announced a national mobilization of his supporters to support democracy in a post on Twitter. He accused a military general, Juan Jose Zuniga, of seeking to stage a coup while announcing a general work stoppage, including a call to block... Wait. Okay. This was very ambiguously phrased. Current President Luis said blank as Bolivia's former leader, that's Morales, accused a top general plotting a coup. That was very poorly phrased. That's very ambiguous. Evo is
that honestly just sounded confusing to
me. Yeah. But he's also calling on people to block the roads. Soldiers and tanks outside government buildings in the capital La Paz, saying democracy must be respected. We denounce irregular mobilizations. So wait, is this just happening? Evo Morales tweet. Thank you. This is this is happening like right now. Like right now.
Well, it was.
We call for a national mobilization to defend democracy against the coup d'etat that is being brewed at the head of General Zuniga. We declare an indefinite general strike and road blockage. We will not allow the armed forces to violate democracy and intimidate the people. Do we have any statement from the general? Is this good or bad? Bad. No statement. He's busy cooing. Yeah, I suppose. What does this mean? This individual is accusing the United States of backing the coup, which is not impossible given our history.
And I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily be too surprised if the U.S. has some backing to this. So, like, more info on it?
What's his post? Well, what do we make of this one, boys? Bad. Too early to say. Evo Morales sweating over a potential coup. Yeah, that's what we're covering right now, as a matter of fact.
Well, as it stands now, not really. It's failed.
Can you just make it easier so as the dude a commie, or do we support? Are you incapable of paying attention to the context clues that we're clearly picking up here? Are you deaf? It's an army general who's apparently like anti-Morales launching a coup on the government. What do you think? We're anti this. Come on, think for a second. Don't be stupid.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, it seems like the dude is kind of like a conservative, anti-socialist, like anti-leftist kind of like dude who hates indigenous people and probably had like some, beef that was able to be used to mobilize like a coup attempt. That would be my hunch.
This general made statements. Okay, so the general was making comments to the effects of him hating Morales. He was fired the day after. Coup attempt is underway in Bolivia right now. People's movements are calling for mass mobilization to stop this attack on democracy. This is the second coup since 2019, which overthrew Morales in a plot supported by U.S. government Elon Musk. Are we ramming the door? We are ramming.
Oh my god, they're ramming the door of the armored personnel carrier. Gente, parece mi atención en Bolivia.
They are literally entering the government house tank. That's not a tank.
That's an armored personnel carrier, and they're ramming the fucking door with the dude. They're trying to use it. Dude, a tank would be a battering ram for this thing, not an armored personnel carrier. Like, this thing would have to be going like 40 miles an hour for that to be the case.
That's an APC, actually.
Bump.
Is the coup of public support. We literally know nothing right now. Back in 2019, so my understanding is that Bolivia has a majority indigenous population that is very supportive towards Morales and his party. Morales was a good president. The current guy in is part of Morales' party, even though he and Morales don't get along too well. And there are a bunch of basically wealthy white people who led a coup back in 2019, and it eventually ended up failing, largely because they didn't have the public support to maintain it after they seized power. That was, remember when there was that evil looking white woman, the Christian, who was
literally saying that she's going to instill some Catholic biblical law amongst the land or some shit, and finish what the conquistadores started or some shit. She was legit kind of a psycho bitch. Actually insane.
We're in charge of Bolivia. We're going to promote God and not Satanism. And she had a Bible out. Remember? And that's significant because a significant portion of that country is indigenous. So she was basically doing the modern day Spanish Inquisition shit. Yeah, she brought the Bible back to Bolivia. My personal guess, based on what I'm looking at, and no information whatsoever, is that this coup is not being backed by any Western power. It seems like this general is just responding to him being fired by attempting a snap coup. I think that if this was planned, it probably would have been a little bit more supported and substantiated before.
And also, I feel like there'd be a lot more of a bigger military presence. This military presence doesn't seem that huge. You got one armored personnel carrier and a small battalion of dudes. That's an army coup. That's an attempt at a military junta or something, my dude. That seems kind of sad. That doesn't really seem like a very big coup.
And there would have been a big propaganda campaign leading up to it, not literally just one general goes killdozer on the Capitol. Could be wrong though. Could totally be wrong. TBH have never followed Bolivian politics before, so this is all new to me. We used to cover it a lot in this channel because Evo Morales, apart from the whole Noncery business, had a pretty strong vision for the people of Bolivia, and he's faced a lot of hardship.
And also,
And the,
Michael Brooks, when he was still alive, was also a major advocate for talking about Bolivia and Brazil with Lula, and talked a pretty decent amount about leftist Latin American politics, on that front. So I think also brought a lot of knowledge for a lot of people when he was still around for people to kind of understand a little bit about these type of people, like when it came to Lula or Morales, and and just like the general politics of these countries and these places.
limits thing, yeah, it's complicated. He has an army. That's not the worst starting point for a coup. Well, this is what I want to look up with him. I'm trying to find out more information about the generals on Yega, but I can't find any. Like, what was his rank? So he's a general. Okay, how many soldiers does he? How many people are underneath him? Is there like a supreme commander above him, but beneath the president? What's the like? What does he have?
De mayor crisis.
91,000 watching now. My God.
Esperemos que se reencauce, pero está complicado. No vimos esto desde el 2019, cuando ocurrió la salida de Morales.
Sí, perdón. La asunción de Yanine Áñez, que
All right,
muchos
folks, you're all going to have to
que
learn
aquí
Spanish real quick, okay?
del grupo de Puebla
I love
como
it.
golpe de Estado,
I'm okay with
la
it.
asunción de Yanine Áñez se produjo en ese mismo palacio
Claro.
quemado. Por eso digo que independientemente de dónde
El simbolismo.
claro, del simbolismo que tiene
Muy
este lugar
simbolismo.
como palacio presidencial o ex palacio presidencial, ¿no?
Claro, le quiero preguntar a Tufi, Are, lo siguiente, porque los levantamientos militares muchas veces obedecen a situaciones socioeconómicas muy endebles.
So Niega is Comandante General del Ejército de Bolivia, or General Commander of the Army of Bolivia. His rank is Divisional General. So generally speaking, the way coups work, especially when they're being done like this quickly, it seems, this impromptu, is unless he was planning this beforehand, how many people could a person in that position meaningfully get underneath him? If you're trying to do a military coup, you need to like communicate with the right people. You need to get the right people on your side. How effectively can you mobilize because all we're seeing is like some detachments of military police. How many people do they even have?
I mean, yeah, basically. I mean, you need to like at least have a few different, like officers, of rank, and like maybe another general, a few people, that have like actual connections and an ability to seize certain logistics of equipment and shit to be able to properly enact on this coup and have that manpower and instill like a sense of loyalty and a slow kind of political factionalization within these battalions and squads and shit in regiments in order to kind of instill like a sense of loyalty. Like, so, I mean, if like when it comes to a military coup like this, I mean, like Operation Valkyrie, even though it failed, did this. Like, there was multiple, members of the German, higher military ranks and even within the Nazi ranks that, got into certain connections to ensure that, hey, like, if we're going to make this work, we got to make sure we talk to the right people for one, and for two, avoid talking to any of these other folks for sure, no matter what, because they're loyal to these folks and shit. Like, there was a whole thing about it. And it was like a whole, like, orchestrated thing, that was long in the planning. And that was a planned attempted coup. And that fucking failed. So it's just like, I mean, what you think? I mean, it's not like an impromptu one can't succeed, but like, I mean, it's also likely for a planned one to not succeed either.
Out here, a few hundred maybe. That's not nearly enough. That's what I'm curious about. They're saying, "Wow, this is like the coup in 2019."
Pero no era una situación tan crítica como para creer que la economía dispara la posibilidad de un golpe de Estado que se
A
está
eso me refería.
mencionando.
No es que hay un
Sí.
pueblo que va a salir a bancar este golpe militar o este levantamiento militar porque la está pasando mal a raíz de las medidas de un gobierno democráticamente elegido.
No es ese escenario por ahora, pero estaba deteriorándose la sensación de crisis, estaba deteriorándose, el gobierno estaba aguantando el inicio de presiones, de bloqueos por
They say the economic situation was not bad enough to prompt a coup. I mean, judging from that article that we read, which admittedly was just Google translated, but it sure sounds like this guy literally just personally hates Morales and presumably like socialists broadly, and is doing this because he doesn't want to be fired. Is this just a personal gripe?
Sí, y de sectores muy distintos.
Sí. Yes, it is. Honestly, I think it is. I mean, if it's not really heavily backed and he just got like a few loyalists, under his name, in his rank, or like, that he has under control, as his rank, I mean, that seems like that's about it. It doesn't really seem like there's much outside of just like personal gripe bullshit that he wanted to try to bring the whole country down with him for.
El
Fucking
masismo
unhinged,
tiene,
dude.
bueno, sus famosos ponchos rojos que se movilizaron de manera muy fuerte en La Paz, recuerdo cuando se produjo la salida de Evo Morales, pero también desde el arco opositor, que se han quedado sin representación, porque muchos o están presos o han sufrido muchos o vivido muchos procesos judiciales. Desde todo ese sector se quedaron un poco huérfanos de representación. Estoy pensando si no se está sembrando también el caldo de cultivo para una situación de enfrentamiento social, ¿no? Que puede tener ribetes muy violentos en Bolivia. Al menos eso vimos en 2019, Tufi.
Siempre está latente ese riesgo de un enfrentamiento social. La única forma es dirimir esta situación mediante el voto, como ocurrió en el 2020, evitar mediante el voto que entremos a un escenario de enfrentamiento civil. Hasta ahora se ha ido evitando, aunque han habido muertes, pero se estaba dando la gran oportunidad para la oposición.
Oh, shit.
Una oposición muy
They're
dividida.
comparing and contrasting.
Tufi,
Ocurre en el MAS.
te pido un paréntesis, me interesa mucho tu contexto. Estamos en La Paz, en Bolivia, en las
La Paz.
inmediaciones del Palacio Quemado, desde donde se acaba de ir el excomandante del ejército, Juan José Zúñiga.
Los militares están yendo hasta este sector porque también están utilizando agentes químicos los otros sectores que
Well,
están
they're all
tratando
armed
de
up, too.
llegar hasta este lugar. Prácticamente se hace difícil la
Are these guys
respiración en
actual
este
army or
lugar.
military?
Nicolás,
Military police
por
or
los gases
soldiers?
que están utilizando son diferentes tipos de gases, entendemos, y también hay bastantes personas que están afectadas.
Bueno, hay un tuit de Janine Áñez.
I
Ahí
think
le
it might be
estoy
attempting to
pidiendo
breach
a
the
la
fucking palace.
producción, a
They're
ver si
using
podemos
gas,
ponerlo
probably
a
nerve gas,
pleno.
not nerve gas. Sorry,
Janine Áñez,
probably
recuerdan
tear
ustedes quien
gas.
asumió la presidencia de Bolivia cuando se produce la caída de Evo. Muy cuestionado todo ese proceso por algunos sectores de la política
Is it happening
latinoamericana.
now? Did
pero
we
se ha
get in
manifestado
now?
con respecto a
Wait,
lo
they
que
were
está
going in.
sucediendo. Repudio
Yeah, I guess when Vosh was live earlier, when he was recording this, yeah, it was going down. Anyway, why they go away and pull up a tweet?
la movilización de militares en Plaza Murillo pretendiendo destruir el orden constitucional. El MAS, con Arce y Evo deben irse a través del voto en el año 2025. Los bolivianos defendemos la democracia. Bueno, Tufi, también de alguna manera esto alimenta
Both sides of the coup belong to the
los
same party.
fantasmas que Evo Morales intenta también a veces reforzar que existen en Bolivia, ¿no?
Claro que sí. Yo finalmente creo que los líderes políticos se van a alinear en la perspectiva.
The lady that was in
de
charge of the
conclusión
previous
del
coup is
mandato
against
de
this coup.
Arce.
Wait,
En general,
she is?
por lo menos.
Wait, the crazy psycho bitch from the last coup is against this one? Usually, if there's a failed coup attempt by a bunch of people that might be politically aligned, with another group that's attempting to do a coup now, they usually will be, like, linking arms together, be like, hey, we'll help you out. We got some leftovers from the last time we fucked up. We'll learn from our mistakes, and blah, blah, blah. But I guess not this time around. Decided to be like, nah, fam. Nah, we're sitting this one out. You got some weird beef and you're taking the whole country down. What the fuck you doing?
Janine Áñez, the 2019, the white lady with the Bible, she's like, yeah, she doesn't support this? Okay. Okay, if that's the case, okay. If that's the case, that confirms this is 100% just one general going haywire. If this general is ostensibly under the same party, and Janine Áñez, who's like a rep for the wealthy white like bourgeois in Bolivia, if she's not in support of this that really makes it seem like it's just this guy. This is a Juan guy moment, okay?
Yeah, we got like, this Juan Toledo guy, and, he's just having that one guy moment, dude. Just the one guy in the military that just wants to have his moment. I would assume that he makes a speech or some shit, considering that they're all out here, right?
Que según reportes periodísticos estaría desvinculado como jefe del ejército por algunos dichos con respecto al ex.
Is one of them just straight up holding a fucking gigantic tire? Just like, I'm sold on this.
Evo Morales.
Yeah, I
Lo
think he
cierto
is.
es que Morales denuncia lisa y
In
llanamente
Latin
un
America,
golpe.
we do
Oh,
all
no,
those
it's not.
tanks. We don't have
A
tanks.
que se respete
I'm
la
sure
democracia.
Brazil has
Hay
some
una
tank
condena
tanks.
transversal a ideologías políticas, a afinidades partidarias en este
Did
sentido.
you just say Brazil? This isn't Brazil. This is Bolivia. And if they do, they're probably like some old ass like M60 patent tanks or some shit, bro. Like, okay, they're leftovers from shit that we probably gave in to them at one point, or maybe they bought, or just happened to snag or something. Maybe like old like T-55s or some shit. You know what? I'm actually a little curious about that. I'm not even gonna lie. What's their army equipment like? What's that like? What we got? I'm sure Bolivia's got tanks. There we go. There we go. Service branches. Ugh. Let's see. Equipment. Oh, actually, they got their own version of tanks. A Bolivian SK-105 Cuirassier. What? They got tanks. Yeah. They got tanks. That's a tank. That's a light tank with a big boom on it. A light tank with a big gun. Because that's a small chassis, but a big gun and a big turret for a tank. So it's an SK-105, I guess. And then a Bolivian EE-9 Cazacaval. Armored fighting vehicle. Yeah, so this will be kind of like an upgrade from one of those armored personnel carriers that they have. That guy does not look happy. He's just like, God damn it, I have to be in the fucking parade and shit. But yeah, let's look at these bad boys. It's it's a French weapon. It's an Austrian tank. Austrian light tank. Yeah, so they've loaned them. They got them, back in the day. Yeah, back in 1971. It shares the CN 105-57 main gun with the French AMX-13. So I guess the gun is from the AMX-13, but they have the light tank chassis of the Austrian tank. So it's 3-man crew as a MG3, so uses NATO weapons basically. Operators mostly in South America. Mostly in South fucking America, bro. Yeah, Brazil does, Bolivia, Uruguay, Argentina, Botswana, Morocco, and Tunisia. Austria used to have them. So that's where they all went. Austria just sold them all to everybody. It's like, we don't want them anymore. And so 54 of them were sold to Bolivia. Actually, Bolivia got more of them than Brazil does. Bolivia got more tanks than, fucking Bolivia does. Or fucking Brazil. Armed personnel carriers. I'm assuming the personnel carriers they had were maybe one of these. Yeah, I think that's what they were using. Yeah, I think it's one of these things. I think. Yeah, let's see. What were those APCs? Oh, this might be it. That might be what they've been using. Here, I want to see. Let's see. What was that thumbnail? I don't even want to know. That's the back of it. Fuck. Let's see. Let's compare. Let's compare or contrast. Let's look at the back of this. Look at this booty. Yeah, I can kind of tell it ain't necessarily similar style. It's not an M3 half track. I mean, what the fuck? Urutu? No, it's not one of those. It ain't one of these. Yeah, it ain't one of those. Was that really on? So it might have been the Roland. Yeah, I think this might have been it, and it just had a different top on it. Unless it was like one of these. Yeah, definitely not one of those. That one's got straight up a fucking full-on gun on it. Like what? Like a fucking, what type of... A 90 millimeter fucking gun on it, dude. Like a 90 millimeter cannon. Bro, like, dude, that's absurd. That's dope, but absurd. What is that thumbnail, my dude?
Hay una condena unívoca de los líderes latinoamericanos.
No, that did happen,
A
Benjamin.
esto
Well, it
es sin duda
opened up a door
muy
at least.
alarmante. Se denuncia un intento de golpe, el delito por lo pronto de sedición y levantamiento de unidades del ejército
Oh,
en Bolivia.
what was that? What are you firing? You're in a
Esto es
crowd,
lo que está
man.
pasando allí en Plaza Murillo.
Tear gas? Oh,
Oh.
yep, here we
Están
go.
tirando gases. Quienes están de este lado, o sea, la imagen más
Cut the
próxima que
chunk in the
estamos
back.
viendo de los uniformados son estos uniformados que teóricamente
Girl was wondering if you want to buy your car, you know, get your driver's license so you have more mobility, or
But buy it?
yeah, a couple $100.
A couple hundred?
Yeah.
What's the catch? Why do I?
She's getting another car. She doesn't. You know, she can only have one car over there. So she's wondering if you want to buy either or. I mean, just something to think about. She'll talk to you about it. But she wants to keep the old car over here because she's getting a new one. So. And that one's still been working for now.
That's why I'm wondering, what's the catch? Is there shit that I need to be aware of about it?
Not that I know. She hasn't called me and wanted me to come help her start her car or anything like that.
Well,
So it must be working.
fair enough.
But she'll
I'll just have her text me about it, and I'll maybe, like, you know, or just have her, like, hit me up or something, and I'll ask about, like, you know, details on it.
Yeah.
I mean, because, I mean, like, it depends how much a couple hundred is. Is it like 200, or is it more like 500 or
Well,
something?
she mentioned 200. That's tonight. That'll change back and forth. You know, it's just kind of like the.
I'll just
okay, you have to
negotiate.
wait till it's low, then okay.
I'll just negotiate with it. I mean,
Okay.
I'll just honestly more likely not. I'll probably just accept what offer she gives me. I'll just say, you want to just wait until I give you, you know, the money all at once or whatever, and because I guess she could technically have it over here already if, you know, her car shows up before then. But yeah, I mean, for at least in the meantime, I won't be able to necessarily drive with it yet anytime soon. But at least, you know, it'll still be here. But also, I can maybe just say the
I
mean.
could take you out and, you know, teach you.
Well, and also I could probably just maybe, at least in the meantime, just take it up back and forth to work. It's just literally a beeline, you know, and just parking in a parking lot, you know. So it's
Well, yeah, for work, and you could probably walk. But I'd say if you want to go somewhere.
well, I
like
mean, at least to
downtown
just kind of get oriented about it, you know.
Yeah.
It's also automatic.
Yeah.
Okay.
The one she's getting is manual.
Okay, because
So it has manual transmission, the manual windows. You have to roll them down, and I personally like that. You know?
I like manual windows and shit, but the manual part, so, like, I get the whole thing about it, but I just never been. I too many. I got too much a little PTSD of fucking up one too many times, and I'm just like not doing it again. Okay, like.
You know, fuck up when you first learn, you know, your first drive, and that's part of learning how to drive.
But the few times I've done an automatic, I've been okay peachy keechy and never had a problem. So it's just like, I don't know. I think I'll just stick with what's easier for me.
Yeah, you should start with automatic first and get the hang of the manual.
Then why are you trying to start me on a fucking manual to begin with? Why didn't you wait for it? Especially in that parking lot in the snow and shit, bro.
Yeah, that's the best place to learn.
That was not. Oh, dude. This is never gonna die, is it?
No, that's the best
You're gonna
place to learn
fucking
to
take
drive
that to the
manual.
grave, dude. Oh my god. Holy shit.
I mean, it's slippery.
Whoa.
Pressing the clutch and killing the engine all the time.
Oh my-
That's the best place to learn.
Well. Fuck me timbers.
That's right. For
Almost had that fall, man.
clutch,
That's
so-
great. Fuck me timbers. Bro. Dude, to this day, bro. To this day.
Al general Zúñiga, quienes han formado parte de este
Wait,
levantamiento.
what was
También
that?
hay algunos encapuchados, no se entiende
Who
si
fired
podría
that
ser este
originally?
personal de inteligencia o no.
Así es,
Proud cops.
nuevamente en esta esquina de la gobernación,
Personal de
donde
la
está la
policía
gobernación de La
militar.
Paz,
Vamos a escuchar el
se ha vuelto a gasificar. Entendemos que han lanzado las personas que están protestando.
No, they don't
tipo
have
de
gas masks.
lacrimógeno hacia este
I guess
sector donde
military.
están los efectivos militares. Y también los efectivos militares están respondiendo con gases lacrimógenos hacia los manifestantes. Hay algunos militares que han salido también afectados, están siendo retirados de este
Protesters have
sector.
thrown
Otros
homemade
que
tear gas, they
permanecen.
say.
Lo más llamativo que
Oh.
también nos aparece a esta hora de la tarde es que efectivos de la UTOP
How they do that?
también ya se han aprestado en esta esquina. Ustedes
Not that I necessarily want to know how to. I just kind of like, how's that even? How does one, like, I didn't think that was even a thing.
observar en pantallas que hay un efecto
I know about, like, stink bombs and stuff, like, you know, making some nasty, stinky bomb of some sort, where it just spreads this, like, aura of stank, but, you know, or, like, physically putting a bunch of stank on you or whatever. You know, like, or other variations like glitter bombs and stuff like that, but not like a homemade tear gas thing. Like, whoa.
policial de la UTOP que está con el uniforme y también está junto con los militares. Y hay otro efectivo policial, en todo caso, de la UTOP en la parte de adelante. También están en esta esquina.
Where
Y
is the
los
actual
encapuchados que nosotros
military?
les mencionábamos que han llegado, quienes han sido los primeros en llegar en motocicletas fuertemente armados. Luego han llegado los carros militares y luego ha llegado el contingente militar a pie.
Some
para
police are with the
tomar
soldiers, they
Plaza
say.
Murillo.
Many such
Por el
cases.
momento, hemos escuchado que el general Zúñiga va a brindar en minutos algún tipo de declaración a los medios de comunicación que estamos en este momento para conocer qué está
Chad, is this
pasando
real?
de
Very
manera
traumatic
oficial
scenes in Bolivia as
con
President
esta
Arce
toma por el
comes face
momento
to
de
face with
Plaza
the military
Murillo.
coup, later ordering him to withdraw his troops back to barracks. The army
Bueno,
commander
esto es lo
refuses.
que está
Really?
sucediendo
Did they
a
directly
esta
meet?
hora en La Paz, en
No shit. Did they actually meet at one point?
Bolivia. Hay comunicado de la Cancillería
Zúñiga
boliviana.
will make an announcement?
Denuncia
Okay.
el presidente.
I think that's meant to be those two over there looking at each other. It's kind of a blurry pic.
El Estado Plurinacional de Bolivia denuncia ante la comunidad internacional las movilizaciones irregulares de algunas unidades del ejército boliviano.
So boring. Well, then why are you here? I mean, it's interesting to me. Like, I mean, you know, there's other things to look at. I want to see if this dude ever, like, made a weird ass little speech. Because, oh, is that the, yeah, well, yeah, that's the dude. It's the dude who did the fucking weird ass coup. I knew he was gonna, you know, say something eventually, right? What's this weird ass saying? Where's he pop in? Where's he officially begin?
He's saying they're the good guys against the bad guys. They love democracy. They don't. We'll fight for you. They won't. Okay.
I, a military general, I'm a good guy. Promise, okay? You know, I'm definitely am. Like, you know, and hey, you know, it's like we love democracy, even though we're trying to overthrow that completely out of nowhere, impromptu, because I have a personal gripe.
They have no balls. Doesn't make any sense. So this is just he's waffling. He's just waffling, right?
Liberemos a todos los presos políticos, absolutamente. Voy a ser claro, desde Camacho,
You have the balls to fight for the Houston mission.
los coroneles, generales, tenientes.
While there's like straight up like fucking random gunfire in the background, like Jesus. He's having a speech while there's like random like pop shots happening in the background. Like, is there like actual like skirmishes happening?
What political prisoners is he referring to?
Wait, this guy's also one to like try to quote unquote release political prisoners? What? Yeah, who? Like, who would be doing that? So, like, I mean, like when it comes to that, like, huh? I mean, like, what? What would that be? Like the 2019 attempt coup? You know, fucks, you know, shit. When like that weird crazy Christian lady was doing that? Because if that's the case, they're not on your side either. So how's that even work? Like, that does, like, I mean, if you're trying to be on their side, wouldn't you want to organize with them first? And if they don't like you already, then just doing it anyway is not really going to win them any favors. That's amusing.
desestructurarla. ¿De qué democracia hablamos? ¿Cuánto tiempo está en la política Evo Morales? ¿Cuánto tiempo está en la política Carlos Mesa? ¿Cuánto tiempo en la política están esos de aquí del Congreso? ¿Eso es democracia?
He wants to free the 2019 coup people. You've been denounced by the 2019 coup people, man.
¿Eso es democracia? Vamos a destituir la democracia.
I love these tactical, like,
a nuestros presos políticos.
parkas, by the way.
Todas las unidades en todo el territorio nacional están acuarteladas.
The sign of someone doing a very strong, like, political coup and a military coup is definitely a dude that is arguing with journalists. Oh my god. I love how this dude is, you know, like, totally flopped on a fucking coup, and he's a general. Like, bruh, how do you fuck that up? I can see a bunch of, like, weird MAGA chuds, like a Jan 6 fucking it up because they're a bunch of yokels and shit. But you're, like, you know, sending, like, a few MPs and military troops and shit with, like, armed personnel carriers and all this shit. Like, you're a military dude. Like, how in the fuck did you not, like, whip up, you know, enough of a force to, like, just be like, nah, any journalist that's, you know, showing this off, nah, fuck that. You know, or fucking like, oh, well, you know, it's like, you know, any attempt to, you know, like, you know, try to do any subversion, you know, is, you know, going to be shut down. Or I'm sending some battalions to, like, the new stations, blah, blah, blah. That would be, like, a full fucking military coup. Like, what the fuck was this? Like, broadcast for the world to see. Oh my god, I love it. Well, that's amusing. This is amusing.
Las palabras del general Zúñiga respecto a lo que está ocurriendo en este sector de Plaza Murillo. Hemos escuchado lo que ha indicado. El objetivo es liberar a los presos políticos. Ha reclamado también de los políticos y nuevamente ha ingresado al vehículo del ejército que está en puertas de Palacio de Gobierno. En este momento ha declarado, ustedes han escuchado al general Zúñiga de lo que está ocurriendo en Plaza Murillo.
Oh.
Bueno, la palabra de este hombre que es, por el peor de los motivos posibles, el hombre de la hora en Bolivia. Quiero marcar algo. Él hace alusión a opositores que él entiende son presos políticos o son perseguidos. Hace alusión a Luis Fernando Camacho, hace alusión a Yanine.
He showed up to rally the troops, but said he's leaving to keep fighting.
The dude is literally like, hey, you know, like, as I'm leaving for all this shit, keep fighting, even though I'm running away with tail tucked between my legs. Dude, man, no wonder it failed. Like, isn't the general supposed to, like, sit up there, like, walk in and storm into the presidential palace and all sort of shit? Like, what? I mean, my lord, what a sad bean. My goodness. Oh, is there a nurse speech that happened? Dude, that backdrop is fucking awesome. That is so cool.
He's swearing in new generals. He's declared victory over the coup. So while the MP are outside in the building, he's swearing in the new generals to replace the guy who's doing the coup currently.
Dude, that's awesome. Dude, that's some Chad move shit right there.
Noriega is in the car outside with the AC on and the windows rolled up, looking at this on his phone as he gets replaced in the cut car.
The cut car.
Por eso es que agradecemos al hermano presidente.
Yep, okay.
Ministro de Defensa y al alto mando militar por confiar en nosotros. Es una situación especial, decía, porque nadie desea ver la imagen que estamos.
Dude, while he's making that speech, there's like loud bangs and like fucking gunshots in the background. Like, dude, this is some kind of wild shit, honestly, dude. Like, there's gunshots in the background. There's like big booms, people banging on the door trying to get in and stuff. Like, whoa, bro.
Es por eso que ahora, en mi condición de comandante,
this is some Chad move shit right here. I'm not gonna lie.
Are they arresting him?
Comandantes de fuerza, pido, ordeno, dispongo que todo el personal que se encuentra movilizado.
I understood that one. Disbanded.
Was that him getting arrested by his own soldiers?
I bet it was, dude. Dude, if that's the case, that'd be hilarious.
Bueno, ahí está hablando José Wilson Sánchez, el nuevo comandante general de ejército, que ordena a todo el personal militar volver a los cuarteles.
Just takes a sip of water, like, yeah, that's right. Fuck this guy.
Zúñiga rolls worst coup attempt.
Bolivia, en instante vamos a hablar con David Inca, que está ahí en la plaza.
Literally the world's worst coup attempt.
Escuchamos al nuevo jefe
The soldiers finally got their orders. All the MPs were like, yeah, we're out here for ice cream. Oh, arrest that guy? Okay. They backed off. These are journalists at the gate.
Holy fuck.
La constitución política del Estado y las leyes que exigen a la institución militar. Vamos a estar siempre al pendiente de que el orden legalmente constituido, el gobierno legalmente constituido, permanezca de acuerdo a lo que dicen las normas del Estado. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias.
The military was being kept back deliberately to reduce casualties until more was known. The soldiers turned against the general and are now together barricading him in his tank.
Oh my god, wait, so most of the troops didn't even bother coming out anyway to avoid casualties and didn't really know what the hell was going on. And now that they got more, clear orders what's going on, and now they barricaded his ass and are fucking trying to arrest him. Oh my god, that is awesome.
Definitivamente, Caro, perdón, y también confirmando, ¿no?
They've got him in the timeout tank.
The timeout tank!
¿Qué es lo que va a hacer Zúñiga, efectivamente, si se va a quedar de brazos cruzados o va a intentar movilizar su sector militar?
Democracy has been saved.
En este momento debe estar negociando cómo va a salir de esta situación, porque esto es un delito grave, sedición. Ahí habla Luis Arce.
Ahí habla el presidente de Bolivia.
Muy buenas tardes a todas y todos. Saludar a nuestro vigilante David Choquehuanca, vicepresidente de nuestro Estado Plurinacional de Bolivia, a todos los invitados a este acto de posesión.
I love this over here.
De las tres fuerzas armadas, saludamos a nuestras hermanas ministras.
This is I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen a coup attempt this crazy. Socialism prevails. What average Morales hater, I suppose.
The most sane, the most sane Eva Morales hater, dude.
José Wilson Sánchez Velázquez, comandante general del ejército.
Does this guy right here have enough guns? He's holding on to a gun, and he's got one, like, strapped so tight up against his chest, it's going to start constricting him.
This has been a curious day for Bolivia, the president says.
And dude, like, they have this other they have this other armored personnel carrier to shove him into that so they can escort him into a prison. Like, dude, that...
Por supuesto, al general de división Marco Antonio Peñalosa Meyer, jefe del Estado Mayor del Comando en Jefe de las Fuerzas Armadas del Estado, al general de división aérea Marcelo Javier Segarra Gutiérrez, comandante general de la Fuerza Aérea Saliente, al vicealmirante Juan Arnés Salvador, comandante general saliente.
Apparently the soldiers didn't realize they were doing a coup against the president once they realized they detained the general. Dude, it's the meme!
Oh my god. Wow. Wait, so they didn't even realize they were doing a coup attempt. They were just being led astray. These guys were just like, oh, we're doing some, drill or some shit's going down. We need to be there. Oh, fuck, or some shit. And they're like, all right. Oh, wait, that's not what's going on? Wait, what's going on then? Oh, wait, this guy's actually trying to do a coup? Oh, well, fuck this guy then. Dude, that's awesome.
Who wants ice cream, boys? Down to the palace, let's go! Up to 5.
Up to 1, 2, 3, up to. What the fuck?
You Looney Tunes shit.
This is some Looney Tunes shit.
CIA agent who orchestrated this on Suicide Watch right now.
Dude, that would be hilarious.
No.
Damn it! This is supposed to work! It did back in the 70s, motherfucker.
What was the name of the prisoner, Camacho? The from the former coup? Down in the prison cell, he just hears like booms outside. Camacho, no idea what's going on.
Es lo más importante. Saludamos a quienes son militares.
That's the ice cream.
Su uniforme con orgullo.
Yeah, that
The president just said the soldiers who turned on the general will not be discharged. Yippee! The good ending, guys! This is the goodest possible ending to a coup. You literally can't get a better outcome than this.
Really, honestly, for real though.
Que lamentablemente repiten la historia reciente del país tratando de hacer un golpe de estado cuando el
No confirmed deaths.
boliviano siempre ha sido
Something crazy might still happen. There might be some loyalists or something, but
I don't know. I feel like, I probably would have, or there would have been some info about that by now, but not really. But damn, dude, like, honestly, it's kind of wild that coup was basically the span of, like, 2 hours. Really, probably less than that. Like, an hour to an hour and a half. And it just flopped immensely. It's just like, bruh. It's just like, what the fuck, dude? It's just like, damn. That is on, like, I won't, there's some hilarity to that. There's got to be, like, some level of irony to it. It's just, like, thinking that, like, well, soldiers have to be obedient and obey their generals, right? And obviously, I'm going to be out here, making sure that, they know what's what, and all this sort of shit. And it's like, nah, not really. That's not exactly how it works there, bucko. Just because you got a personal gripe doesn't mean that's, like, how things work. It's like, oh my goodness. I'd love to see it. Love to fucking see it. There. Let's see what else happened overnight. I said a little trolls popping in here. I like how it's just like, dumb fuck was just like, oh, boring, bruh. It's a leave. And then proceeds to just stick around. It's like, you know what? I'm not even going to acknowledge you. Just get the fuck out. It's like, get the fuck out of here now. I don't give a shit. You think I do this for attention? That's the funny thing about, like, this shit. It's like, hey, there are people out there that don't inherently do this for, like, oh, the views, the content, attention. It's like, sometimes just do it for fun, bitch. Who gives a fuck? It's like, ay. Goodness gracious. There. Do this one real quick. Go! Oh, you sweet little thing. I have caused mass injury to myself. Yeah, because of you. Oh, what? Now you want to... What are you doing that now? Hey! You can just give me a damn little second. How about that? Boop, 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 boop. Alright, give me a minute. Ugh. Yeah, someone's a thirsty boy, aren't they? Oh, you just sweet little thing. Just a goofy little ball. Just a little sweet little ball. Yes, he is. Goof. Little goof dog. You have to be that loud about it. Make it sound like just like a little stream coming through. Like a little stream of water, like a, you know, we're next to a little creek. Goof. Let's see what else happening here. If it was officially being shut down. Oh shit, really, huh? No shit. Wow.
All right, y'all, we got a spicy update for you today. So apparently InfoWars is officially being shut down. Let's go ahead and dive into the specifics. I have an Alex Jones reaction for you as well.
Oh,
and I'll
shit.
talk about what this actually means moving forward. Like Rudy Giuliani and many others, Alex Jones filed for bankruptcy in an attempt to delay collection of a massive civil judgment against him. The delay attempt didn't last very long for Jones. The bankruptcy trustee appointed by the court filed an emergency motion on Sunday seeking to liquidate Alex Jones' principal asset, his decades-old InfoWars show that made him moderately rich and infamous. In the filing, trustee Christopher Murray informed the court that he intended to liquidate all the assets, inventory, and shut down the operations of InfoWars in an orderly wind-down of the company. Jones was forced to file for bankruptcy after the Sandy Hook families obtained a $1.5 billion defamation judgment against him. Jones has said several times on his show over the past couple of weeks that this was coming. He was attempting to sell the company, which would delay liquidation indefinitely. He wanted to stay on as an employee of the new employer, arguing that the company was worthless without him, so the Sandy Hook families would get nothing if it was liquidated. Apparently, the Sandy Hook families had other priorities as they pressed the bankruptcy court to move forward. Jones will likely resurface in a new project like Tucker, but he will still be starting over after decades, building the company he founded with a smaller audience and platform. Knowing Alex, he will reincarnate himself into an even more repulsive but smaller operation. All right, so let's break this down. Basically, the court was like, we've had enough. You haven't paid these people that you owe a tremendous amount of money to anything yet. So we're liquidating your assets, and we're going to give them the proceeds. That's basically what's going on here. So Alex Jones went on Glenn Beck's show, and he starts talking about this. Here we go.
Alex Jones is here to give us a comment on this. Hello, Alex.
Glenn, thanks for having me on. This is very historic. The, quote, families who are represented by high-powered Democrat Party law firms, the same ones suing Elon Musk right now for defamation, different plaintiffs, the same lawyers, they went on CNN last week and said, we do not want money. We want it immediately closed. The door is closed. They don't want to sell the millions.
What the fuck does that even mean? Like, you know, the quote-unquote supposed families are ran by, like, Democratic lawyers. Blah, blah, blah. Like, what does that even mean?
Inventory, books, films,
besides just weird conspiratorial
That's
nonsense.
not true. They're liquidating it to give them money because you're not paying otherwise.
And if anything, like, I mean, this is, like, I mean, to think that Alex Jones is going to, like, you know, fucking pay anyone on this shit was kind of silly. Like, this was going to happen. Like, this was an inevitability. Like, I mean, it was just kind of a matter of time until, like, InfoWars and Alex Jones, you know, fell into obscurity. I mean, which on one hand is a little sad because he is such an entertaining fuck. But, man, you know, the idea that, you know, he's just going to be gone, you know, now, essentially for, you know, obscurity's sake, it's like, damn. I mean, he's still going to be out there, honestly. Let's not kid ourselves. I mean, he's going to be out there doing his thing, you know, still to an extent. He's going to be out there, you know, like, you know, probably, you know, making little random ventures on Daily Wire or some shit, go on Joe Rogan more often, probably. I mean, he's going to, you know, he's still going to be around. And also this frame of Kyle. What the fuck?
So they have no move but to liquidate your stuff and give them the money. So the idea it's not about money. It is literally directly about money. You owe them money and you're not paying it.
They don't want it. They want it immediately shut down. And they said because we want to stop his speech. They actually said that on CNN. If you want, I can send you the clip. It's just outrageous how transparent this is. And again, in Texas and Connecticut, in both show trials 2 years ago, both judges found me guilty of failure to give any discovery, but we gave them everything. There were just no.
Okay, already multiple things that are not true. First of all, the idea this is about censorship and this is about shutting him up. 100% untrue. He still can say whatever the hell he wants to say. He's just going to have to do it under a different name, on a different platform, in a different studio, what have you.
Essentially. I mean, he's still able to, like, go out there and do his, shit. He would just have to, form and make another company and, foundate another company and just do it under a different banner. It's just like, instead of InfoWars, it'll be like, Truth Wars or some shit. It'll be something else like that instead.
He could just start recording from his cell phone. It doesn't matter. The idea that he's being censored is not true. He's literally talking right now on a show on Blaze TV to Glenn Beck's audience. There is no censorship here. You can say what you want. You can say what you want. Now, some things, if you cross a line into defamation, well, there will be actions taken against you, but just don't defame anybody. Other than that, say whatever the fuck you want. Now he goes on to talk about how, the case was rigged. That's basically the point he's making. It's not true. The reason why he was found guilty by default is because he wasn't going along with the process of discovery. He was not handing over documents that he had to hand over. And so they had no choice but to do guilty by default.
So what they said that we did, so instead both judges found me guilty in default and then had juries decide how guilty I was. They put on evidence that I had $400 million.
You want to know how juries decide how you're guilty there, buddy? It's based off the evidence that they were given, on the trial and everything that is, given, when do you not know how that shit works there, bro?
I didn't have $5 million in the bank. All of it was total disinformation. I was not allowed to put on defense.
He says he wasn't allowed to put on a defense. That's not true.
His defense was random bullshit. If anything, he actually, fucked himself over a couple times, and lied multiple times, in the course of that fucking case. So it's not that he didn't put up a defense. His defense was just bullshit.
When he tried to, quote unquote, make a defense, it was literally just the sentencing portion of the civil lawsuit where they're determining the dollar figure that he's going to have to pay. He had every opportunity in the world to make a defense, but he would have had to do it in the court before he was found guilty by default. So in other words, he would have had to go along with discovery and then make his argument in the courtroom. Instead, what did he do? He was found guilty by default because he didn't go along with discovery. And then when it came time to be in the courtroom to figure out the dollar figure, then he starts making a defense. Well, that ship has sailed, dog. See, again, all that he's so loose with the facts. It's crazy.
People that watched the hearing said, why don't his lawyers defend him? Well, they weren't allowed.
I mean, it's basically just expecting people to not be smart enough when it comes to, the affairs of, what goes on in a trial. And it's basically just, hoping people don't, get that and, aren't, able to completely understand every little nuance about these things. And to be fair, I don't either. I understand enough to know that what he's saying is bullshit. And, and a lot of it is on the virtue of that there is, not enough of, an ability to, just put up a, good case, for anyone that actually has, been in there, in any form of, of a trial of some sort, or, having to go through some sort of a civil case or a criminal case or anything like that. Or has, talked to people that, have been in, situations like that. There's at least, some, a little better baseline understanding of that shit. And, hey, at the end of the day, you have a chance to make your defense and case and shit, but if all you're doing is just lying, bullshitting, or not even really, showing up and, getting charged guilty by default, that's on your fucking dumb ass.
So this is very dangerous.
Because it was the sentencing phase. It was when they were determining the dollar figure. You had already been found guilty. That's why. You had the opportunity to do it. You didn't defend yourself when you could have because you didn't go along with discovery. Oh, my God. Such a liar. And look at Glenn Beck, fucking Colonel Sanders looking dumbass sitting there, just letting him.
Colonel Sanders looking dumbass. He really does look like Colonel Sanders. And what the fuck is his set? He literally has a taxidermied fucking mountain lion back there. What the fuck? It's just, what is going on back here, dude? What is his fucking set? What is this shit?
Flood the airways with misinformation.
Very, very precedent setting, but they've now publicly admitted we don't want money, we want to shut it down. So they had filed a few weeks ago to totally just shut the doors. And so I said, fine, I'll do an orderly liquidation. That way the stuff actually is sold off. The employees might get some severance. I can go work for somebody else, be part of their operation. They're not going to silence me. And so they immediately ran to the same judge that found me guilty without a jury trial in Texas. And just in a summary hearing, no evidence, said, boom, seize all the assets. So now the federal trustee is in a fight with them, trying to block them today, grabbing the bank accounts and having the sheriff's department, consider order, come and lock the doors. So everybody's already basically got their stuff out of the building weeks ago. And remember when I told people that they done filings to do this, the media said, "Oh, it's a conspiracy theory. Nobody wants to silence them." So the corporate establishment media, the leftist media just defaults to always
The leftist media, that's rich.
deny reality and then turn around the next day and admit it was actually true. So, Glenn, I really appreciate you having me on to talk about this because, again,
You know, they'll spin a lie about reality, but then they'll actually, you know, tell the reality as its truth the next day. Like, he's just, like, on some, like, you know, existential crisis rambling about just trying to, like, obfuscate in any fucking way to, you know, avoid any sense of him actually being guilty. It's like, dude, like, you're a guilty fuck. It's like, and you can't even fucking admit it. You have to, like, do anything and everything under the sun to obfuscate this shit. I think he's at a point where he's, like, straight up drink his own Kool-Aid. Like, there ain't no goddamn way this dude and this absurd dork is just gonna be like, oh, well, you know, it's like, you know, it's just all bullshit, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, maybe, like, behind the scenes actually pay it all off and all this other stuff. You know, because it's like some act. Like, I mean, if there was a time where Alex Jones maybe was putting up an act, that time has sailed. Like, that ship sailed a while ago.
people that's not taking it. This is a big, big deal, not just for me, but the whole country, the whole world. They've admitted in the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, CNN, everywhere, that they're going to use this precedent against me in lawfare against everybody else. So they use you as the beta test to kick the number one talk show host in the world politically at the time, you off of Fox, using a bunch of threats and disinfo and going after sponsors. And then now they're
stroking his ego, stroking Glenn Beck's ego so that he gets let back on. So again, let's be clear. Is Alex Jones now banned from doing a talk show? No, not at all.
Definitely not.
Not at all. He wasn't paying the people he owed money to. They had to liquidate his assets so they could pay them something, right? He can pop up again today under a different name. Totally fine. Not being censored remotely. But what does he do? He goes out there and lies about it relentlessly. Look, at this point, I can't fathom for the life of me anybody who would listen to him and think they're getting the truth, right? Look at this first comment. It's 100% about censorship. They need to set a precedent. How is it about censorship if he could still get on air today?
I mean, it's that, I don't even think, conservatives understand what the fuck free speech is about. They think, because, they had to liquidate assets on a talk show, or they got banned once, or this and that, or, they had comments removed, from a fucking, live chat or whatever, it's just like, that shit ain't censorship. Like, you can still say your shit and your bullshit, but it's like, at the end of the day, hey, do whatever you want. Like, it doesn't have to be under that, moniker, right? Like, you always come back in the sock account, or make another company, or do another talk show, or whatever, it's like, it's not like some sort of a erasure of, fucking speech or some censorship. It's just that, hey, with free speech also comes, not an exemption of freedom of consequence. Like, freedom of speech does come, with consequences sometimes. That's kind of the whole beauty of it. That's the point. It's like conservatives just don't get that shit. Like, or at least, if they do, purposely or nefariously will spin it in a way to where it's just like, oh, well, any form of speech erasure is censorship and anti-free speech, when it's like, that's bullshit. That just, just truth, it doesn't matter of that. It just is. Like, it's like, if you go around, in the public square yelling about, how Nazis are right and spamming the N-word basically with your mouth, going N-word, endlessly and shit. Don't be surprised if someone, literally runs up on you and just punches you in the face unconditionally without even saying a word to you. Like, don't be surprised. And in fact, as far as I'm concerned, expect it. So it's just like, who gives a fuck? Like, that ain't my problem.
He lost a defamation case. He owes a lot of money. He hasn't paid that money. That's why this is happening. So anyway, I can't understand for the life of me anybody who would listen to him knowing he just hit you with a fucking fire hose of bullshit. That was a tsunami of lies that he put out there. And at this point, anybody who's
it's just basically unhinged rambling for all intents and purposes.
Listening to it and taking it at face value, it's like, I'm sorry, you just want to be lied to. You're a narrative humper. You have your own narrative and you're sticking to it regardless of what the facts are. Your narrative is that, oh my God, Alex Jones is such a victim, bro. He's such a victim, bro, and he's standing up to the establishment, bro. I lied about Sandy Hook and 6 and 7-year-olds who were murdered, bro.
you know, that's totally, like, you know, it's free speech, you know, argument right there. That's totally not overt libel and slander, which is an exemption of free speech. But, you know, whatever. Free speech, though. Bruh. I fucking love it when Kyle just does. When he does the whole breath thing, when he does that bitch shit, I love it. Oh, Kyle. Man, it's like on one hand, I don't miss, like, some of the absurd meltdowns and, like, you know, weird humorous moments of Alex Jones, but on the other hand, fuck him. Like, he kind of deserves what, you know, it's kind of coming to get, you know, like, with this shit. I mean, it's like when you play with the fire and, you know, delve that deep in the hole, like, don't be surprised, like, if you start having that shit bite you in the ass. And shit starts caving in on you. Like, it's gonna kind of happen with that shit. But at the end of the day, I suppose, good riddance. I mean, there's already, like, a few humorous weird fucks that have got to usurped the throat a little bit. It's not in the same way. It's not in the same, like, forte as, like, you know, he used to do it. Because I don't know, there's something about that Jones energy that just hits different. That Alex Jones energy just hits different, tell you what. Doggle. What you doing over there, buddy? Little goof. Doggle. What's this? Not gonna be over here. You got a perfectly good chair to hang out with over here, bro. Come on, sit in your chair. Come on, get over there. You good puppy. Goofball. Aww. Sweet little thing. What's this? Marjorie Taylor Greene's attack on an innocent drag queen blows up in her face. See? Why am I not surprised? This sounds fun. I'll just get preemptive like.
Marjorie Taylor Greene took a swing at a drag queen and she missed. In fact, she didn't just miss. She face-planted and ended up humiliating herself, which is something that I'm sure she's used to by now. But she shared and reacted to a clip on Twitter of popular drag performer Bridget Bandit. And Bridget isn't necessarily saying anything particularly controversial here. She's just talking about the attacks on LGBTQ plus people and that she wants them to stop, which is pretty reasonable as a member of the community. So we'll look at her comments in this short clip because I want to show you what Marjorie Greene is reacting to and ask yourself whether or not these comments from Bridget warranted the vile response from Marjorie Taylor Greene, which we'll
I'm just going to assume right now, no.
Look at after.
Have both Democrats and Republicans agreed to meet with you?
Yes, we will be meeting with both Democrats and Republicans. And I'm really excited to go speak with all of our lawmakers about the attacks that we're seeing on our LGBTQ community. It's so important to talk about and to discuss protections for our queer community.
Can I let you listen to the current sentiment that's being shared by former President Donald Trump, who, of course, is running for re-election? Here it is.
We're going to take care of our capital. On day one, I will sign a new executive order to cut federal funding of any school pushing critical race theory, transgender insanity, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content onto the lives of our
So
children.
what is that dude doing over here? He's just like, yeah, that's right. Like, what the fuck, bro? Oh my lord. And I love how they're, this fuck is reading from a teleprompter too. He's not even like, really meaning any of it. It's just some like teleprompter bullshit that he's just, going off about. Like, I mean, I don't really think he actually gives that much of a fuck. He's reading a fucking script.
He mentions what he calls transgender insanity. If he's voted in as the next president, what will that mean to you?
We already see so many attacks on our queer community. I already don't feel safe in my own hometown, just dressed in drag like this. And it's very scary for queer people to exist in a time where we see this kind of rhetoric being pushed by our lawmakers and the people who should care about other issues that actually affect the American people, other than attacking our community, our LGBTQIA plus community. It's very disappointing, and I hope for better for our country.
Yeah, and everyone in the LGBTQ.
That just sounds like a bunch of woke nonsense and comments, hysteria to me. I tell you what. Nah, I mean, honestly, all that just sounded relatively fine.
Community feels the same way. But Marjorie thinks it's perfectly fine to attack queer people because she doesn't view them as human beings, and she's using her platform to spread defamatory lies about them in order to make people suspicious about them. For example, she recently literally accused Democrats of wanting to, quote, stock elementary school library shelves with gay porn, which obviously insinuates that Democrats are working towards this goal of sexualizing kids on behalf of gay and trans people or something. But that's not what LGBTQ plus people want. To the extent that the LGBTQ plus agenda exists, it's just to live and survive. That's it. So she's slandering an entire community for nothing, just because she hates them. And that's not new for this imbecile, but like, take a look at her vitriolic response to Bridget's interview that we just watched. She writes, "No, what's scary is men pretending to be women, reading gender cult lying books to our children, provocatively dancing nearly nude in public spaces, and taking over our bathrooms, sports, and private spaces. Women and children need protection from them."
What? Like to bring back the old bathroom bullshit back too? Really? And also, like, gender cult lying books? Like, learn some basic goddamn, like, words. Like, that's not exactly very grammatically correct. Like men pretend to be women reading gender cult theory books that are lying to our children. That would be grammatically accurate. Man, I know you're already a fucking reptilian freakazoid dipshit, Marjorie, but oh my lord. I didn't think you would also be illiterate, or at least semi-illiterate. Like, oh my lord. Could I get someone to proofread that for you? And also, like, going in drag isn't about inherently pretending to be, like, one thing or another, or a woman, or some shit. That's just, like, for the most part, like, an artistic expression of, like, femininity. Like, that's what, like, being a drag queen is about predominantly. Like, a lot of drag queens obviously are aware that, they're still dudes. They just happen to be men who are cross-dressing and have, like, a persona and a character that's in drag. Yeah, or at least while they're in drag. So, how's that, like, some sort of an inherent problem there? Like, that's a different thing, versus being trans. Which shows the fucking, intellect of this dumb bitch anyway. Can't understand that being trans and, being a drag queen and, or cross-dressing are totally different fucking things.
Marjorie, Bridget isn't a man, dumbass. She's a cis woman. And she responded to Marjorie Green pointing that out, writing, "Hi, Marjorie, I'm Bridget, and I'm the queen in the clip. I'm born female and not a man. You are just proving that gender is socially constructed and have no idea what you're talking about and why you should have no say in our lives." Exactly. Spot on. Now, as you can see, she got community noted. But on top of that, one of the most popular replies to her delivered another L because they point to this photograph, which is actually a pic from a video of her boyfriend literally dressed in drag. So, I guess that he's a danger to...
And honestly, it looks pretty, unattractive in drag, frankly. Very bad drag.
And children as well, by her own logic. But way to make yourself look like a dumbass, Marjorie. You tried to attack a drag queen, and you ended up looking foolish in return. Good job. Although, to be completely fair to Marjorie Taylor Greene, being accurate isn't a necessity for her when she's attacking LGBTQ plus people. So while this does expose her ignorance to LGBTQ plus people and drag culture in particular, it's not really going to matter to the audience that she's specifically talking to, since they've already bought it.
God, I mean, I just noticed her right there. Why she looks so fucking disturbing? Jesus. Such a freak.
That queer people are a danger to women and children. But one thing that's been made crystal clear this week in particular is that the same people who usually call LGBTQ plus people groomers, they don't actually care about children. They just hate queer people. Now, I feel like if you've been paying attention, that's been pretty obvious. But I say this because there's this popular Twitch streamer named Dr. Disrespect, and he admitted to inappropriately messaging a minor. And since he's a transphobe, he had previously won respect and admiration of fellow bigots who typically call LGBTQ plus people groomers. But all of a sudden, those same...
Oh, so he also is, like, known to, like, push right-wing bullshit, too, on top of doing that type of shit? Because I just kind of found out and learned about that type of stuff the other day. So it's, like... I guess I'm not really too shocked about that, because there's always going to be fucking projection of this bullshit, and he was like a mass projecting machine when he came to this, like, a fucking excuse for this bullshit.
People aren't willing to apply
So
that same
that
level of
worthless
scrutiny
parasite.
to their friend. For example, journalist Alyssa Marquand shared tweets from right-wing anti-LGBTQ YouTubers who weren't so quick to rush to judgment when it comes to Dr. Disrespect. And The Surf shared a clip of the guy from Geeks and Gamers asking whether or not Dr. Disrespect maybe didn't know if he was inappropriately messaging a minor despite admitting to it. Now, on top of that, neo-Nazi streamer Sneeko made a tweet so hateful he managed to violate Twitter's terms of use.
Really? Wait, you cannot tell the LGBT to leave kids alone because it ends their bloodline? No, it doesn't. You don't know that, you stupid fucking moron. And also, especially considering IVF and all sorts of other ways of being able to have a child outside of adoption, like, that's bullshit anyway, so you're a fucking idiot. They were saying how perversion has no function to create life. What? I mean, if that's the case, then how come, straight people also like to, be perverse and look at porn and shit like that too, you dumb nut? Oh my god, Sneeko really is a fucking idiot. Holy shit. Oh my god. At least he's literate, unlike Aiden Ross. They can only produce through molestation? What does that even mean? Telling gays not to touch this, like telling roaches to leave the kitchen. N-words gotta eat. Oh my god, I can kind of see why, like, I'm starting to see why, this, even for Twitter standards, probably got a little hit.
Does something. So he called queer people pedophiles and said, quote, telling gays to not touch kids is like telling roaches to leave the kitchen. Then days later, guess what he did? He defended Dr. Disrespect, somebody who admitted to inappropriate messages with a minor, and compared him inappropriately messaging a minor to a young person watching female streamer Pokimane who just plays video games. So apparently, if young men who watch Pokimane are attracted to her, that's apparently the same thing as a grown man literally purposefully sending messages to a minor that he admitted were inappropriate. What kind of logic is that?
And also, I would argue that, both aren't necessarily right either. Like, I mean, I get that there's, like, horny teens and shit, but, like, why should adults be exploiting that? That's fucked up. Like, I mean, it's like, I guess you can't stop a kid from pursuing porn if they want to look at that, but it's like, why are, like, adults, kind of knowingly, at least maybe, like, implicitly, doing shit like that? It's like, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I don't want no goddamn kid or really anyone, like, between 18 and 21 in here, you know what I'm saying? Or at least, in my broader social circles. Like, I want people 21 and up, it's like, I don't want, like, a 19-year-old little skibbity toilet, kid, because as far as I'm concerned, they're still a kid in my eyes. So, I ain't about that. So it's just like, I mean, even with, like, 18 plus, it's just like, Like, can we just have it at least as 21 plus? Because then at least, I know that in the social circles that I'm at, there's at least going to be some level of maturity going on. As fuck. I just hate the fact that, there is such, like, a weird overlap with the shit. And then, honestly, a lot of, like, the infantilization with adults, too, I think plays a role with this, too. Because, like, we have to make sure things are child-friendly because a kid might be around. It's like, well, maybe the kid shouldn't be there in the first place. Ever thought about that? Now, it's like, goddamn. Because, like, yeah, maybe the child, shouldn't have to be in those situations. And unless, there's parental supervision, then that would be the only rare exception. Like, maybe like, 13-year-old going to see an unrated R movie at a movie theater with their dad. Like something like that. As long as they behave and are cool, then it's all good. Right? Like, I mean, it's like, even if like, there is like someone like that, then they ought to at least have the maturity of an adult. Even if they don't, act like you do.
Backwards ass logic. That's some mental gymnastics to justify a pervert preying on a child. But I mean, that's Nazi logic for you. Now, I'm not going to belabor this point about Dr. Disrespect any further because I think this is a sphere of the internet that most of my audience is probably not familiar with. And admittedly, I'm not very familiar with all these people. There are other individuals like The Quartering and Nick Merckx who are also having some very, we'll say, sassy responses or lack thereof to Dr. Disrespect, even though, they're fans of him. But the point is that the people who slander LGBTQ plus people under the pretense of protecting kids, they don't actually give a shit about protecting kids. They just hate LGBTQ plus people. Using protecting kids for them is just a justification to slander an entire group of people who just want to live their lives. And that is consistently true for both Nazis like Sneeko and Christian nationalists like Marjorie Taylor Greene. In fact, there's common cause between them.
I mean, there's a lot of overlap between these two groups.
A lot of other issues as well. But as disingenuous as these attacks are, they're unfortunately working. Support for LGBTQ plus people, all LGBTQ plus people, not just trans and non-binary people, has decreased in the aftermath of this new wave of queerphobia that we're seeing from the right. In fact, a new Gallup poll finds that support for same-sex marriage among Americans is still overwhelming, but the problem is that it's slipping. It's dipped 2 points since its record high in 2022 and 2023. And when you break it down for political affiliation, support for same-sex marriage has declined among Democrats, independents, and Republicans. So we're talking...
Really?
All political groups. It dropped 4 points among Democrats since its record high in 2022, declined 3 points among independents from its record high in 2023, and dropped a total of 9 points among Republicans since 2022.
Well, I'm not surprised it dropped that much of them.
Meaning that same-sex couples no longer have majority support from Republicans when it comes to one of the most basic civil rights. And support for same-sex marriage is an important indicator of where the country is because that is largely one of the least controversial issues. It's viewed as a settled issue, but...
I mean, I would just hope that it's more or less just due to, like, this bullshit fucking culture war hysteria nonsense that's just been happening around this. And eventually, over time, it'll just kind of like, kind of teeter back out. But I don't know. I guess, that's, something that would have to, see, in the next couple of years. But, I mean, that to me is new. Like, I didn't realize that shit was dipping. I mean, it's just like, because honestly, like, this whole fucking sense of, like, bigotry and, like, homophobia and stuff. Like, even one of my friends, was responding to something that I shared with the group chat, being like, man, there ought to be, like, people, like, community watch, figure out where these homophobes are and, fucking deal with them kind of stuff or whatever. And he kind of said it way more harshly than that. And I'm just like, I mean, well, dude, this stuff is still kind of a common thing. It hasn't, like, died out. They even told him about, like, the one of the dudes that used to karaoke at the bar all the time that got kicked out there and shit because of, like, of some homophobia and bigotry that he was spewing his shit. So it's just like, I mean, it's not like it's gone away. And I guess, if anything, yeah, it's kind of been on a slight uptick. Which, I mean, I guess I'm not really totally shocked, but it's definitely fucking wild to notice, that it's actually even there within polling data.
Republicans were able to drive down public support for the most basic right.
And at least I figured like Democrats would probably like, just be flatlined, but honestly, independents had less of a dip versus Democrats. Like, I mean, their dip was a couple points less than Dems. So, like, the Dems got more bigoted about this than independents.
Did that pretty effectively, including among Democratic Party voters. So to all of the gay Republicans who thought that throwing trans people under the bus would save them from the wrath of Republicans, let this be a lesson to you. They're not just coming for some members of the LGBTQ plus community. They're coming for everyone. I'm talking to you, Dave Rubin, Blair White, and Caitlyn Jenner and all the other dumbasses who think that throwing trans people under the bus is going to save themselves. It's not. You're next, bud. But conveniently for Republicans, now that they've successfully driven down support for marriage equality, they've now set the stage for the Supreme Court to deliver the final death blow, which is something that Justice Sotomayor is warning is very likely to happen. LGBTQ Nation explains, quote, Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor has issued what one court analyst calls a clarion call to Americans worried about the state of personal liberty in the United States. In the just-decided immigration case, the majority opinion written by Trump-appointed Justice Amy Coney Barrett relies on a narrow decision that the Supreme Court issued in 1997 about the interests of a spouse rather than the landmark 2015 ruling Obergefell v. Hodges affirming the right to marriage equality in all 50 states, says Joan Biskupic, a Supreme Court analyst for CNN. The case decided was ostensibly one centered on immigration and standing. A U.S. citizen petitioned to have her husband admitted to the country over objections from State Department officials who said they suspected he was a member of the transnational MS-13 gang. The husband has maintained that he is not associated with that criminal gang or any other. The constitutional question, says Vuskovic, was whether a U.S. citizen has a fundamental liberty interest in their non-citizen spouse being admitted to the United States. Barrett's opinion
I would imagine they do because, like, it's their fucking spouse. I mean, if anything, like, that should be one of the most, like, easy, like, quick little, like, hey, I can get a citizenship kind of thing, as far as I'm concerned. It's like, hey, if I have someone who's already a citizen here that I love and want to move in and marry with and is my, want to be my spouse, like, they should be able to have that fucking right. Like, yeah, it should be within the best interest of that, citizen to be able to, like, be a part of that process.
On the federal government's long-standing authority to decide the admission and exclusion of non-citizens, but went further, using the 1997 case to establish the absence of a history and tradition of any right to bring a spouse into the country. It's the same argument the Dobbs majority used in that case, and one that could be employed, as Justice Clarence Thomas has notoriously written, in the reversal of marriage equality, interracial marriage, and the right to contraception, among other personal freedoms. And that's a lot of information, but what you need to know is that Sotomayor is warning everyone that that legal rationale that they're using in this case is a sign that they'd apply that same rationale to same-sex marriages in order to overturn Obergefell v. Hodges. Since there's no history and tradition of same-sex marriages, well, then it must not be a basic fundamental right. Now, if that happens, thankfully...
I mean, a lot of that problem is literally due to the fact that, same-sex marriage was never recognized up until this point. When it came to Obergefell v. Hodges, like, until that point, same-sex marriage was predominantly not really recognized, like, at all. So, yeah, of course there ain't going to be, like, no major precedent, in the past, from that type of shit. So it's like, what the fuck do you expect? Of course they're not really going to find any historical precedent, because there really isn't any. Because, queer people were forced to be in the closet for a long fucking time and shit. At least up until, like, Stonewall, and even then they still had to, up until, like, the 90s and, like, 2000s and shit. So it's like, what the fuck? Like, the idea, like, oh, well, there's no precedent in the past, so thus it must not be a human right. It's like, what the fuck? Like, bullshit. Like, of course it is. Like, I mean, if anything, the bigotry and the, hiding in the closet, and shit, due to, our culture about, queer people, at the time of the past, should really say a lot about that. Fucking absurd.
Same-sex couples still do have protections thanks to the Respect for Marriage Act that President Biden signed into law. So even if the Supreme Court allows states to ban same-sex marriages in the same way that they allow states to ban abortion, the Respect for Marriage Act would force states to still recognize same-sex marriages that already exist and ones that were that occurred in other states. Now, it's still obviously discriminatory because you're forcing same-sex couples to get married outside of their home state, which is something that opposite-sex couples aren't required to do. So that's discrimination, pure and simple. But that was a compromise Democrats struck with Republicans to get them on board. Now, the problem here is that there's also a non-zero chance that the Supreme Court could also one day deem the Respect for Marriage Act unconstitutional and allow states to just ban same-sex marriages altogether, not recognize them from elsewhere. But I mean, I don't want you to think about that right now because that's way down the road if that happens. But at the end of the day, my point is that these attacks from the likes of Marjorie Taylor Greene and other bigots might sound silly because they are, but unfortunately, they're having an impact. They're having an impact. Lies about...
I mean, I would argue that a lot of it's mostly, going towards the Republican side, but I mean, a lot of it I think is just because, like, people are so disenfranchised trying to find, like, some sort of a scapegoat as to why, like, there's, like, these budget cuts and this and that, or why corporations, aren't investing into the worker and stuff like this, or whatever the fuck. Corporations will never ever do that. But it's just like, they're trying to find, like, some sort of an out and a scapegoat. And they're like, well, these DEI programs, so queer people, and this and that, and like, these are starting to become, like, scapegoats that people are, looking out towards. And the scapegoat should be these bosses and these politicians that are investing into these fucking culture war bullshit that, in a way is making an impact, which distracts people from who's running away with all the fucking money bags, where they're getting all fucked, trans people and everyone else besides, like, on these fucking issues. I mean, it's like, that's why I argue that rising, the rising tide of labor, raises all ships. But it's just like, at the same time, that doesn't mean, besmirch these ideas, because these need to be highlighted too, because these are, things where it's like, well, hey, would you feel the same thing about, maybe if one of your coworkers is trans? Say, guess what? You actually are working with one of them. It's not me, but hey, that person over at the bakery or this and that, working at warehousing or is a part of the night shift. Hey, that person's trans. It's like, maybe you never ever really see them outside of maybe like rare occurrences or some shit, but hey, you ever know that? I know you've talked to them a couple times before and you thought they were always cool, but what, are you going to think, oh, well, fuck them now? Oh, they were just subhuman or some shit? It's like, bullshit. They might be like, wait, what? But it's just like, initially, now there's going to be a seed planted there. As long as you're at least willing to commit to, planting that and encouraging that. Where it's like, yeah, I mean, if that's the case, then it's like, well, we all deserve that type of shit. And if anything, like, I mean, they're just trying to make their basic paycheck, to earn their living too. Maybe their lifestyle is different from yours, but is that supposed to be like some point? Like, at the end of the day, we all are trying to make our living. That should be the point.
LGBTQ plus people being a danger to women and children, that has moved the needle so far that some Americans are now not even in favor of basic civil rights for queer people when they were just a couple of years ago. So in conclusion, even though it's necessary to laugh at clowns like Marjorie Greene as often as possible, especially when they inadvertently embarrass themselves, don't take her stupidity as a sign that we shouldn't take their defamatory lies about LGBTQ plus people seriously, because we absolutely should, because those lies, as idiotic as they are to normal people, they still have dangerous consequences.
Yeah, true. I mean, if anything, that's why I tried to, tie it in to be like, hey, like, when it comes to the Daily Bread, and honestly, on another thing, too, is, like, to kind of, play it off as a joke, be like, you really think she's actually being serious? Because I think she's just kind of being a joke. She's an embarrassment to this whole idea of traditionalism and this whole idea of, like, Christian values. Like, because I know I've, off and on been kind of, like, poking at the Bible occasionally and stuff, and it's just like, I mean, especially when it comes to the teachings of Christ, specifically in Jesus, it's like, hey, I mean, she doesn't exactly sound like someone who's, about that traditional values and Christian values. So it's like, if that's the case, then, she sounds like a joke. She sounds like a hypocrite. I mean, there's ways to where you can even, like, go at it from that angle. So there's different ways, to go about it, but at the end of the day, I will admit, looking at that polling data was a little shocking. Seeing that it's at like kind of a downtick, across the board, that's like what? It's like, whoa. So, I mean, in a way, I guess there needs to be at least, a little bit more of an emphasis about like, pride and queer liberation and stuff as well on top of everything, because it evidently needs to be a little bit more of a priority. At least more so than it has been in the past. I mean, because, hey, queer liberation and pride has always been about, like, out of the closet and in the streets. You know what? Maybe we just need that more than ever. But, getting kind of hungry, so gonna get myself some food and all that stuff. I'll do a little order of STEM, see what's going on for the afternoon and all that shit. So, I'm gonna be yourself for now, and I'll see everyone next one.